Hey again, got another replay for you. This time it's going to be me as the Abbasid versus my opponent Vitruvius, who is playing as the Delhi. Let's speed up a little bit here. This is on a hybrid water map called Confluence. I'm concerned about fighting my opponent on water early game because the Delhi fishing ships come with an archer attack on them. So every fishing ship comes equipped with an archer, which makes early aggression on the water or hoping that you can peacefully fish a bit of an issue against the Delhi. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm probably going to be limited to the land. Potentially I can get onto the water later in the game, but let's focus on just the land resources. It mostly means I'm going to have an advantage early on, getting some quick food, quick wood, and stone to make my second town center. The issue is my opponent will go water, and while that will cause them to tech slower, it will give them a big economy boost. They'll be able to spend wood to gain food very quickly. You spend your wood on fishing ships and you just start fishing everything in this river. The Delhi are a dangerous opponent. They have elephant units, which are incredibly tanky, lots of hit points on them. While my spearmen will be effective versus them, it'll be a difficult task taking them down, especially if my opponent pays attention and micros them well. And yeah, here we are. I discover his dock where he's just making nonstop fishing ships. So he's just fishing out the whole river here. Not much I can do about it. I say to myself, okay, I'll build an outpost near his dock. That way I can snipe down some of the boats. Unfortunately, the villager that I send out to investigate and start building the outpost gets spotted by one of his scouts. So the jig's up. He knows that I'm trying to put some aggression here, and I decide maybe I should just back off. I don't think this game plan is going to work out. Towers do excellent damage versus ships, so it's a good idea to put outposts down near the river. But other than that, there's not really a good way of dealing with ships other than with your own ships. So I can't really do much about that. I get down my second town center, and unfortunately I pulled too many people off of gold, so I'm unable to get my fresh foodstuffs upgrade just yet. We'll speed it up a little bit, kind of a peaceful start. I find that my opponent is also going for stone. Went with the Dome of Faith. That's an easy way to get cheap scholars. I see the stone being mined, and I say to myself, my opponent is likely going to expand as well, going to build a second town center, or wall up a section of the map. Delhi are great at making walls and defensive structures. I'm trying to scout, find out what he's doing. He just sicks his scouts on mine. With a quick run by, yeah, he just retreats villagers in to snipe down my scout. Notice the consequential, like the subsequent lumber camps. That's a good sign that your opponent is a strong player. If they are building lumber camp after lumber camp to shorten the walk time for their villagers, it's a good sign you're up against a strong opponent. I say to myself, okay, well, maybe I can take advantage of my slightly faster early game and make some archers and spearmen to harass a little bit. maybe my opponent will still be mining gold here, maybe still be mining stone over here. So I send out my units. I don't know if this was a good decision by me. The map is not very friendly for early attacks. You can see my units, rather than just going straight through the center, actually have to walk around. And with such a long time to go from one end of the map to the other, it's very difficult to rally troops to the front lines. It's hard to put on constant pressure. Getting my wheelbarrow, got my initial chop. Looks like I've got a scout here. Would like to see the scout sent out to look for more information. Now I'm coming up to his base. I've got these 2 archers, but by the time they've made it here, my opponent could have easily put down a tower. Okay, putting down an outpost, could put down an archery range. I don't even think my opponent has made a military building. So that said, what am I going to attack? I'm circling around. This is not a good spot to go for. I should really move my troops around, but it looks like I get distracted. I'm losing archers this way. Oh, I wanted that archer to get away. I'd like to see them brought around over to the gold camp. Scout finds my sort of forward mill near these berry bushes. Oh, but there's no mining going on over here either. My opponent may have simply done a strategy that I like to do, where you go for stone and gold early, get what you need, and then condense and shrink your base to only what you need. Essentially wood and food. Really, my opponent is just building up a big force of villagers, and looks like could also make lots of archers to eventually start mining a bunch of gold. Like my opponent is saying to themselves, well, okay, I don't have access to gold right now. Looks like I stop a wall being built here. I don't have access to gold right now. That's okay. I'll just gain everything else that I can. Probably stone, all this wood, all these food. Basically just turtle up. Let me make my military units that won't really do anything. And if I go near any river, his fishing ships can just shoot down my my units. You can see just expanding, just making villagers. Very similar to a strategy I would do. Just try to get away with as much as I can. All it takes to respond to what I'm doing is just a little bit of micro with the villagers, and then you're fine. Yeah, I'm not even doing a particularly good job of harassing. And where can I harass? Not on the gold. I'm finding these villagers here near the wood, so could maybe do something there. And now a decent squad of archers are going to come to shut down that harassment. I rally some troops over here, thinking that I can attack from this angle. But let's take a look at these fishing ships. They can continue to fish and just take shots at my archers. Look at that. I'm just trying to cross the river, and I lose an archer. So I decide to back off, and instead I'll just tech to the 3rd age and try to win in the castle age. I'll do my strategy where I hold sort of a forward position, make siege units, and try to start knocking down his buildings. This dock would definitely be a priority. I like that I have a scout here watching this river crossing. Would love to see these units do something, and would love to see a scout or 2 here. I'm expanding, trying to get this food as well. Yeah, he's using the archers that he's making to just clear things out. This should have been a big indicator for me. The number of archers is getting very large. I'm seeing 2 archery ranges now. I need to get to the 3rd age and start making mangonels. I also should have thought, if my opponent is making lots of archery ranges, that means some archer elephants are coming as well. The tower elephants, where it's an elephant with a band of archers on top. So I say to myself, okay, let's get an archer range, another barracks. Definitely want the military academy upgrade and would love to get, preservation of knowledge. And I'd like to set up my forward base, but really what I need right now is for a small group of my infantry to gather up and make a mangonel. My opponent's walled this off. I see the archers coming. That's a lot of archers. If I had a mangonel right now, I could effectively counter all these units. Instead, I've got a misrally here. My spearmen, oh, okay, good, I pulled them back. But these are not going to be able to do anything. And look, he can even use his fishing ships to join the battle. Can scout, look if I have any defenses, and take pot shots at my units. This is my chance. I have the money for the mangonel. I should back my units up and build a mangonel immediately. Losing some, losing villagers like this. Although I do have a crossbowman here to defend. I decided to put up a tower to try and respond to this. I'm starting to get castle age units. Ooh, gonna lose these villagers, unfortunately. This small squad should maybe take out these archers, and this, yes, okay, we're building the mangonel. That's what I like to see. It's great that I'm in the third age, my opponent's in the second age, but I knew that I was going to be ahead, technology-wise. The issue was his economy is going to outscale mine, so the longer the game goes, the worse it's going to get. I've got the mangonel, but he's doing a good job microing his units around, trying to avoid mangonel fire. I've got the right units. Oh, but here comes an archer ship. I'm not sure what I can really do against this. 4 armor versus ranged units. I could make a battering ram to attack it, but it'll just sail away. I'm not really sure what to do about these ships. I could maybe make springalds, see how effective they are against the ships, but I highly doubt they're going to be all that effective. My opponent reaches the castle age, and that was a lot quicker than I thought. You can see my opponent has tons of gold in the bank. Likely sent all those villagers that were working on the food and wood over to gold. Yeah, just aggressively going for gold. Food still kind of lacking, but my opponent isn't trying to make a large military. Just trying to wall me in, make enough units to distract me, to make me hesitate. And look at these archers trying to go up against this Dow. It's not a good fight. Oh. But the mangonel's doing a decent job. I'm setting up my forward base. I'm thinking maybe I've got enough units. Definitely need to rally these units forward. Looks like I have missed rallies here. Definitely need to get better about the rallying. But hoping to get this outpost up, then a siege workshop, and then start to make maybe a trebuchet and take down all this. But my opponent shows up with a bunch of archers. Glad I have the lancers. These lancers are going to be very effective versus these archers. So I like seeing this. This was a good battle for me. These are age 2 units going up against age 3 units. Now I have the vision from the outpost. That's great. Definitely need to get to work on the siege workshop. Over here, looks like I lose my squad to more Dows. The mangonel is just not doing a good enough job against this Dow. Around 300 health. Here comes a shot. That's maybe doing 30, 40 damage per shot. That's really not what we're looking for. We need something much more effective than that. I put the springald upgrade on this outpost. It's taking shots at these archer ships. This is what I like to see. The range is good. If I can get a... I still think maybe springalds could do the job, but I'd have to look into it. Should probably cancel this battering ram. I don't think it's getting finished. And it'd be nice to get the wood back. I'm still up on food, but my opponent is way up on wood. Way up on gold. So my opponent can start making siege weapons and extremely valuable units like the tower elephants. I try to break out of this way, but it just feels more like a distraction than anything. It'll allow me to get some vision of what my opponent's doing. Okay, I actually finished the battering ram. Seen lots of archer ships over here. Looks like 3 of them. My opponent starts taking the sacred sites. Not too surprised by that. Scholars are everywhere for Delhi. Get the trebuchet. I send it immediately to attack the dock. It was a good target. I don't want my opponent returning more fish, but easily could have built another dock elsewhere. In fact, I'm going to reveal the map to see. Oh my, that's quite the force. Any other docks? Yes, another dock up here. There's so many ships out here fishing the entire river. Just basically, look at the income. After enough fishing ships, my opponent can easily just outproduce me in food. The income is off the charts. I need an mangonel to deal with these archers. This is not looking good for me. My opponent already has 3 mangonels, likely being pumped out of 2 siege workshops. There you go. Following it up with springalds. I'm thinking to myself, okay, I need probably spearmen, I need springalds, and I need mangonels. Fix up a springald, can hopefully use it to target down these mangonels. Even just 1 springald is surprisingly effective. Can send it forward to take these out. It's so much damage, it's worth it. My man-at-arms are doing good against the crossbowmen, but that's mostly just because we have some support in the back. Here come the Tower War Elephants. 960 health. They do not go down easy. Best counter against these is probably Spearmen, but I'm just not really making enough of them. I'm mixing in man-at-arms, which likely aren't going to be effective enough. Yeah, the Spearman is going for it, but there's just so many mangonels, and the archers can take down my spearmen pretty effectively. Let's check upgrades. My opponent is playing as the Delhi, which means it takes a long time for these upgrades to finish, but okay, it is getting up there in upgrades. I'm likewise trying to get more. Send a small force this way to try and find out what my opponent has on this end. Maybe harass some of these villagers over here. But I'm pretty sure this force is stopped in their tracks by this and this finished keep that will, well, not quite finished, but will be soon. Lost my villagers that were forward. Let's check the villager count. My opponent still at 2 town centers, but that's pretty normal. Nothing surprising there. 78 villagers for me. 98 for my opponent. My opponent, and that might include the fishing ships, my opponent was so focused on the economic game. It was pretty much completely about getting all the resources on the map as quickly as possible. I mean, look at the rivers. They're just filled with the ships. These fishing boats are everywhere. They're going to fish out the entire map. That small force I sent up north, just not effective against these Dao, or this keep. And down here, still fighting the war elephants. Find the springalds, take them out. But now I have to deal with this force. The tower elephants are so strong. Hoping to get 1 here. There we go. But they've already smashed through my infantry. Really need more spearmen. In terms of income, I'm almost on par, but my opponent simply has too much gold. Aggressively mining this gold source here and starting to gain control of sacred sites. Does my opponent have any relics? Let's see. Like to find a... Yes, 3 relics already secured. My opponent was very diligent about getting everything off the map. Clearly took advantage of map control, and it's looking pretty grim for me. Think I'm going to have to surrender here. Oh, and another force coming from this way. In terms of what I learned from this game, it's hard to play as Abbasid on these maps. I would have liked to have put up a fight on the waters, or maybe built a dock of my own and fished a little bit. I think perhaps I should consider an alternate civilization for these hybrid water maps, maybe French. But it was a good match. My opponent's macro skills were fantastic and just greeted more than me. It was a great game. Really enjoyed it. Well, hope to see you back next time.